Vantika and Divya are two of India's finest youngsters. While Vantika is born in 2002, Divya is born in 2005. They are playing in the final round of the Asian Continental Blitz. Vantika is 1 point behind Divya, so she is in a must-win situation, while Divya, if she manages to draw the game, that should be enough for her to become the Asian champion. And off we go. D4 by Vantika, knight f6, c4, e6, knight to f3. The time control is 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. The open Catalan is on the board. Divya strikes in the center, brings out her knight, queen to a4, bd7, both players moving pretty quickly. D takes c5 is slightly lesser played than queen takes c4, so Divya thinks for a bit, bishop takes, queen takes c4 on the board. And now bishop back to e7. White has a small edge out of the opening, as you can see, has more space on the board. Black is a little cramped, but all her pieces are developed. Divya also 15 seconds below on time, which means that she is thinking over the board, while Vantika is well prepared. Rook c8, planning to give some sort of a discovered attack down the c file. Now remember one thing here, Vantika is an excellent positional player, while Divya is very tactical in nature, very resourceful. So it's actually a clash of styles between these two players. Short castle done, and e4 played by Vantika here. She wants to push her pawn to e5 at the right moment and gain more space in the position. At the same time, if black ever pushes e5, the d5 square will become a huge weakness. 2 minutes 20 seconds for Divya. She's now almost 45 seconds below on time. Vantika taking it easy. She had a sip of water. She knows that this is the final round. There's a lot of pressure everywhere, but both these young girls know how to handle it. Knight to e5 played by Divya, and she attacks the queen on c4. Of course, you don't want to be blundering anything here, so the queen has to move. You can't take this knight because the queen is attacked by the rook. So Vantika thinking here where to move her queen. Few options for her. Queen to b3. The other option is queen to e2. These are the possibilities. She goes queen e2 on the board. Now Divya takes, bishop takes. In this position now e5 is a big threat, and Divya goes e5. Bishop g5, excellent move. The d5 square is weak and the knight wants to enter that. That's the reason why Vantika wants to pick up this knight on f6 and create a stronghold on the d5 square. Positionally, white is doing excellently well. Also, this pin on the d file is very irritating. The rook can also come here, and if the queen comes to c7, that is also an issue. So small little problems for Divya here. She has to play a move like queen e8 maybe to come out of the d file. She wants to play at 6, but she knows that it's a dangerous move. So she's thinking about it and she plays it. Finally, she goes at 6. Vantika takes, bishop takes. Now how to take advantage of this situation is the question. One idea can be queen e3, preparing bishop g4, because if you play directly bishop g4, black can take it because the queen is attacked, so you can't win the queen on d8. That might ease the pressure a bit. Oh, she goes bishop g4, and actually this can really help Divya to sort of exchange a few pieces, get some activity in the position. She's thinking here, and she chops off the bishop on g4. Queen takes g4. White still is better. Very much so, because the knight is coming to d5. Queen b6 on the board. Good move by Divya. The question is, how is she going to meet knight d5? If you then go and chop the pawn, knight takes f6. That's a free bishop because there's a pin on the g file. Also, Vantika is 1 minute ahead on the clock. She goes knight d5. Divya instantly plays queen e6. She had her move ready there. Queen comes back to e2. And this knight is a monster. Look at the squares that it's covering here in the position. Rook c6 played by Divya. A decent move. She wants to double down the c file. And now Vantika thinking about what needs to be done. She has a lot of time. She has a better position. But in blitz, to break through such positions is not easy. You need to play a little bit calmly here. b4 does come to mind. She gets rook a c1. Divya doubles down the c file. And now I think taking the rook seems like a good idea. She takes, and very logical is to take with the rook. That seems like normal, but Divya stops. She's thinking, this knight is something she doesn't like here on d5. And so she's considering whether to take with the pawn, but that will weaken her structure. And she takes with the pawn. That's what Divya does. She's ready to play some offbeat moves in order to put her opponent under pressure. Vantika goes back to c3, keeping the knight. Bishop e7. Now black is back in the game, fighting, because knight is no longer on d5 square. Vantika moves her queen up to e3, putting pressure on the a7 point. Rook to c7 played. And now, where do you create your play? A good move is king g2. The other one is to go queen d3 with the idea of somehow penetrating down the d file. 1 minute 15 seconds for Vantika, 48 seconds for Divya. The final round clash. This is going to decide who takes the gold medal back home. Everything to play for. Last couple of minutes left. Queen d3 played by Vantika. A great move. King h7. The king comes up the board. And a good move by Divya, because later on there would be no checks on the back rank. So if she moves her bishop, she doesn't have to worry about those things. It's a move of an experienced blitz player. Look at the time. Now Vantika below on time. Then Divya b3. The bishop comes to c5. She wants to plonk her bishop on d4, then put the pawn on c5. The position is now equal. Vantika has lost her advantage. Divya is fighting back. Queen to d8, attacking the rook. Rook comes back to c8, and now she can go to the 7th rank. Vantika has slowed down a bit. She's become a little hesitant in the position. She was playing very confidently. Queen d7, good move. White is still slightly better. And you want to trade the queens, but if you trade it, then the rook enters the position. So it's not a very great idea. And also the rook is hanging. So how do you avoid the queen trade? Both players down to now 30 seconds on the clock. What does Divya do next? She plays queen f6, tricky move. She wants to hit this. If you take the rook, it's a mate. Queen f2, queen f3. And Vantika now 20 seconds, queen f5. Excellent move. Queens are traded, ef5. The knight gets a beautiful square here on e4. The knight comes there. White is better, slightly better, but practically a huge edge here, because now c5 is a weakness. Knight is beautifully placed. a5 played, rook to c4. Excellent move. Now the a5 pawn also is a weakness. There you can see light square domination by white. Yes, black has control on the dark squares, but it's not as powerful. Divya goes g6 with just 8 seconds in hand, and f6. Fantastic move. Once again played. Now the knight on e4 cannot be moved. Rook to c6. It's time to bring in the king. King f1. Vantika doing everything correctly here. g5 played, and g4 once again fixing the pawns on dark squares. This game is going to white now. King e2. The king is coming up. The rook can move to a4. The king can come to c4. She does play it. Rook a4. Divya's rook is passive. The king coming in. And for Divya, there is absolutely no play. Her bishop is beautiful on d4, but just a showpiece. Can't do much. King b5. And she's now losing the a5 pawn. Goes rook a8. The gold medal is going out of her grasp. Rook takes a5. Divya exchanges the rooks. And now king c6. Divya is losing. Vantika is winning this. How do you continue? f3. Excellent move. Now all that Vantika has to do is carefully just create a passer on the queen side. She can play a4 followed by b4 and then push the pawns forward in case black doesn't take it. She goes king a4. Not sure what her idea is there. King a5, but you can see clearly she's a bit nervous there. Plays a4. Divya confidently moving there. King a6, b4 would have been the best. Bishop here. Pawn push to a5. And now bishop d4 and blunder. King a7. Oh my god, allows a check there. Pawn pushes, and this is now just losing for white. Divya takes on b3. She has her own passer. a6. b2. Knight comes to stop the pawn. Oh my god, what a game. King b5. A7. Divya has to give up her bishop, but is this winning for black now? The king is coming in. Can the knight handle the knight pawn? King c3, check. King c2, check. King b3. Oh my goodness, it's a draw there. It doesn't look like Divya can win. And it's a draw. Both the players agree to a draw with a smile of relief on their face. Divya has won the gold medal. Vantika was so close to winning it. And there we have it. The battle between two amazing youngsters of Indian chess. I want to bring to your attention this key moment where Divya had a winning chance. She played in the game king b5, a7, and then later it ended in a draw. However, if she had found this amazing move here, which is, try to pause the video and try to think, e4. E4 is the move, and it's a pawn sack, because after fe4, you now go king b6, attack the a6 pawn, a7, give a check, king has to move in, otherwise you lose the a pawn, king c7, and you're now trapped the white king. It's just beautiful. And now the bishop takes the pawn, bishop comes here and dominates the knight on b1, and then you just wait and it's completely winning. In this way, Divya could have won the game, but it was such a difficult thing to see in a few seconds. But just the concept I wanted to show. And now let's look at Divya winning the gold medal.
Congratulations.